trying to get a good shot of this chicken. This is what we're gonna be making today. Cilantro rice, some Chipotle chicken, and a nice Chipotle sauce to go on top of that. So let's get at it. So now we are going to get ready some of our stuff for our rice. We're gonna chop up some fresh cilantro and squeeze some lemons. So make some. So we want to take about a good few sprigs. Oh, there's some tough cilantro. We want 3 tablespoons maybe. Some chopped cilantro. So we're just gonna go ahead and start chopping this up. Ooh, it smells nice. Got my handy tablespoon. Measure this out real quick. So we have a little extra, and it won't hurt, depending on how much rice you make. So we'll just try to keep that in mind and make a little bit extra rice. Grab a sanitizing cloth. Wipe it down real quick. So we have 2 good sized lemons. I'm going to cut these in half and juice them. A good method of juicing anything, lemons, oranges, just take a little teaspoon, something in there, and just squeeze and twist. You'll get a lot more juice out of it. I'm right-handed, so this is easier for me if I could do it like this. There's one. And you just keep doing this until all the juice is out of both lemons. Just completely drain those out. If you have like an orange juicer or something, that would work good too. Just stick them on there. Just keep doing that. As you can see, I have a baking sheet, so we're gonna go ahead and marinate our chicken, and we put in chicken thighs, 2 chicken drumsticks, and another chicken thigh. I have 2 chicken breasts here. Cut down real quick. You don't want 2 big pieces, just relatively medium-sized steaks. Just kind of maybe cut this one in half. It's a little thick, so you're gonna butterfly that. That's some decent-sized pieces of chicken. Same with this one, just butterfly it. I want about 1/2 inch thick pieces of breast meat. And then I have some Chipotle sauce I made earlier. I had three Chipotle peppers, about a cup of water, and some onion, a pinch of oregano, and about a tablespoon of lemon juice. Put that in there. So we added that. And we're gonna add a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar just so we can have some acid in here. I'm actually gonna put it in the jar so we can swirl around and get as much of that Chipotle sauce as we can. We don't want to waste much. So we're gonna go ahead and put this. We'll get it back on. Just really shake that up and be able to rinse it off. And just pour that all over there. So we don't want to let this sit in the fridge for about 2 hours, hour and a half would work. 2 hours would be ideal. So we're gonna get started with the rice. We're gonna turn this up to okay. There we go. So on roughly medium-high heat, we're gonna add 3 tablespoons of vegetable oil on the bottom of the pan. Just let this heat up a little bit. You're gonna need a little wooden spoon. This you see over here is some chicken stock I made up the other day from what I had left over from my chicken after breaking it down. 2 chicken wings, the whole backbone, any cartilage, bones, or fat you might want to throw away. You can stick it into the stock. I chopped up 2 relatively small, thin carrots. Skin it all, no peeling, just everything in there. Added about half an onion, same, skin and all, just chopped up very coarsely, big chunks. And I let that come to a boil. Then once it comes to a rolling boil, you want to lower it down and simmer that and just skim off the fat and whatever icky things you see popping up on top. So you take that off and you cover it and make sure it's still simmering. Let that simmer a few hours, anywhere from 3 to 4, but just a nice medium-low consistent temperature. And this oil looks like it's heating up, so I'm gonna go ahead and add the rice. I have a cup of rice here, just white enriched rice. So we're gonna let that sit in there, just maybe brown up a little bit, not too much. You don't want to overcook the rice. We don't want to cook it, then have it cook it again. So that's what we're gonna do. After all the chicken was done, the meat was falling off. Really, as you can see, it's a pretty nice dark color. So once you get to this color, a nice yellowish color, you're probably good to go. You want to taste it. Usually they're very bland without any condiments, any spices. So I tasted it, added about a teaspoon of oregano, about a tablespoon of pepper, and a good tablespoon and a half of salt. And that came out pretty well. That tasted real good. I'm satisfied with that. Maybe I show you guys how to make that some other time. So we're just gonna let this sit for a while. Not really much we can do. At this point, we should have our chicken marinating. Our rice is obviously on the stove. We have our cilantro and our lemon juice ready to go for when this is done. And all we would need to do now is braise the chicken. Go ahead and stir this every once in a while. If you have a wider or flatter pan, that would work better. The heat distribution would be better. So, see, if you have more of a thinner, taller kind of saucepan, you would have to stir around a little more so that, you know, all the heat can evenly distribute, and we don't want the bottom to be brown and dark and have the top still raw and very light colored. Forgot to bring this over here. I do have a half teaspoon of just ground black pepper. Not sure if you can see that very well. And once I lower the temperature and have you say it, we're gonna add that to that in a little minute. So if you want to get technical about this, we are going to make a rice pilaf. Essentially, pilaf is a very fancy word. People might be scared, but you know, pilaf, you basically lightly saute it, add whatever you're gonna add to your rice, and then add the stock or some water and let it simmer for a while. And it just basically cooks with that hot water and the steam. You know, you cook it for, we're gonna be cooking this one about 10 minutes roughly. You might want to keep an eye on that. Roughly 10 minutes, and then we're going to just let it sit for another good 5 minutes just to make sure it's very well cooked. So all this rice has puffed up. It turned all white, and now it's starting to brown. So when you get to that point, you know, we can go ahead and add our half teaspoon of pepper. We're gonna just mix this in real quick. And it might seem like a lot, but you know, later once all these flavors mix together, you know, you'll think it's fine. And you don't have to use stock, like I mentioned earlier. You can just use water. We use a cup of rice, so we're gonna use maybe about a cup and a half of liquid, and from there you can just season to taste. Like I said, my stock is pretty flavorful at this point. Added quite a few things to it, so I will worry about the flavor later. It's about a 4-ounce ladle, so maybe 2-3 scoops of this, and we'll be good to go. Just go ahead and add that in there. If you use some homemade stock, just make sure it's nice and stirred up in case anything, you know, might have floated down to the bottom. Cover that for a while and put this on medium-low heat. Just let that simmer for a while. Good, maybe 10 minutes. Okay, so now we're gonna braise our chicken. We have a relatively big pan, pretty deep, it's about 4 or 5 inches. We're gonna let that heat up on high heat for a while, and I have another 3 tablespoons of vegetable oil that we're going to be lightly sauteing our chicken in. So just let this come up to temperature. Add our 3 tablespoons of vegetable oil. Just roll that around, cover the bottom of the pan. High heat, let that heat up real nice. Our rice is done. It's sitting over here. We'll prepare that in a minute. Mix in the cilantro and the lime juice. So So you can usually tell that your oil is hot when you see it all retracting to one spot. You know your oil is pretty hot. So I got my tongs over here. I'm gonna just start adding these chicken. Start eating that. You hear that sizzling. Hear that? So this is gonna keep on. Make sure you have a big enough pan for all of this. We're just gonna fit it all in here. Another drumstick. And add some more breast steaks in here. And put those on top. And as you can see in my marinade, I have quite a bit of sauce left still. So what I'm gonna do, ladle about, I don't know, half a cup of stock in here and just mix this up. We're gonna end up trying to make a sauce out of this. Just have this cook and simmer with this. So this is going to be pretty spicy, actually, but once you mix it in with the rice, it should be good. So we're gonna let that sit, just cook for a while, about 5 minutes, and then we'll flip it over. So once your rice is done, you're gonna want to let it cool for a bit. So just take it out of your saucepan or whatever container you may have used to cook it, and just transfer it somewhere. You can put it in a nice room temperature bowl like this, or you could also just lay it flat on a big plate you might have laying around. So what I'm gonna do is just mix this around. Let's go down a little bit. Taste a little bit. Make sure the flavor is alright. If you did happen to add anything else, spice it up, make your own, that's fine. Just make sure that it tastes okay to you. Right now this is pretty neutral. I wouldn't say it's bland, it tastes good, but it doesn't have much other flavor. So we have our cilantro. I'm gonna just sprinkle that in there. Toss this up. You wanna add the cilantro, and anytime you add fresh herbs, really, you wanna add it towards the end because we don't want that to cook. We just wanna have that in there and give it that fresh herb flavor. So just kind of mix that in there. And then we're gonna add our lemon juice. We'll go ahead and add half of this. There's about one of those big limes. I'm sorry, one of those big limes that we had. I won't say lemon, but limes. So about one of those large, medium-sized limes is in here right now. And then we'll go ahead and taste this again. And it should taste pretty lemony. That was actually enough. So that's good. And our cilantro lime rice is done. Over here I have our chicken starting to cook. I'm just gonna turn this real quick and just toss it around like that real quick. If your chicken just happens to magically produce liquid, water, whatever it may be, and it starts boiling, that's fine, just let it cook. I have my chicken stock and the rest of my Chipotle sauce from the marinade. I'm gonna go ahead and pour that in here. Want to make sure everything's well submersed. Enough to go around. And we are going to lower the heat to about medium low, and just cover that up for a few minutes. So medium low to medium, and let this sit, I'd say about another 10 minutes. So when those 10 minutes are up, we're gonna just being steamy. We're gonna kind of move this around, see how chicken's doing, and just let it finish cooking with the lid off. We're gonna let this reduce, and hopefully we can have a good consistency sauce. And there's just a bit. So here we are going to make a roux for our sauce. A roux is basically equal parts fat and equal parts of flour. So we're going to use a tablespoon of vegetable oil. Just heat that up. Make it up here. And then I have a tablespoon of flour measured up over here. So we're gonna go ahead and dump that in here. And we're basically gonna cook this flour nice and light. And there's different kinds of roux. There's light roux, dark roux, depending on what kind of sauce you want to make, and what kind of flavor you're trying to get out of that. So we're gonna make a medium roux. We don't want it too dark, we don't want it too light. So roughly the color of this spoon, you can see that. I mean, a nice little wooden spoon, that's the color you want to go for. So just once all that flour is dissolved and stuff, you can just let it sit and brown up a little bit. Roux is usually made with chicken stock, beef stock, you know, whatever you happen to have on hand. I'm actually going to use some of this Chipotle sauce that we have. Okay, we have some Chipotle liquid that the chicken is cooking in. So I'm going to use some of this and just take from there. This chicken is looking real good, by the way. So just let that sit there. Gonna let this brown a little bit. And this literally just starts browning real fast right before your eyes. So you let it sit for a while and then, start stirring it because it will start to burn rather rapidly. And like I said, we want a light woody color. Then we'll add it in there. And this will basically act as a thickener, so we can really get a nice saucy consistency out of whatever liquid we get. Gravies are a great example. Gravies usually use the drippings or whatever juices you got that might have fallen off of your food, your meat while you're cooking. And you add that in here and boom, you got a little bit more of that. Liquid wise, I've added about a cup and a half, 2 cups. Just to the point that you see all that will dissolve. There's no more in there. Then we're going to lower this to low heat. Low heat. And then just let that sit in there. You want to be careful when you're making the roux. Try not to touch it or have it make any kind of contact with your bare skin because it is very hot. That will easily give you horrible burns. So now that we have a nice consistency there. Chickeny. Yeah. Okay. So it looks like we're ready to plate. I have my cilantro rice over here. Just kind of break this up a little bit in case we got a little cold on you. Might have flopped together. So we'll add a little bit of this here. Center that. So your chicken's been cooking about 15-20 minutes. Just, if you want to maybe stick a fork in there. Got my big fork. If you want to just stick a fork in there and see that it tears apart fairly easily, then your chicken is done. So we're gonna just go ahead and place a few of these right here. Just nice chunky pieces. And then we have our sauce that we just made. A little thick chipotle. Kind of drizzle that over like so. And you could always garnish with a little bit of cilantro. Just grab a sprig or two, just something like that. Make it look beautiful. And that's essentially it. You have your cilantro rice with chipotle chicken. Boom. Thank you.